Number 4, principle number 4, everyone is not like me. Let me introduce you to 4 levels of thinking. The first level, and it's the level I think about 80% of the people that we encounter are at. Level 1 is, I guess everyone's like me, pretty much like me. I guess all humans are alike and everyone's pretty much like me. Or they will be when they grow up. You know what? Often, couples live a long time before they realize that, you know what? My husband isn't like me at all. My wife isn't like me at all. They're grown up, they're just not like me. Because I've been waiting for 15 years to get them to grow up and be like me. The second level is, I guess everyone's not like me. You know what? There are actually some people that like setting goals. They aren't just pretending, they actually like it, I think. Right, Ron? Amen. And they actually like it. And there are some people that actually like solving problems. I mean, they like just getting into the nitty-gritty and solving problems. I guess they aren't like me after all. I guess everyone's not like me. The third level is the one that's, I've come to see, frightening for people. Because I've talked to a lot of people about these 4 levels of thinking. The third level is, no one is like me. You know what? The reason we wear all these shirts with the polo players and the labels and the logos and the brands and everything are partly so we'll be like other people. So we'll realize we're like the people over here at the Ritz-Carlton Club or the, whatever, country club or whatever. We want to be like other people. You know what the stark reality is? No one on the face of God's earth is like you. And you aren't like anyone else. You're unique. No one else had your mom and dad. And even a twin didn't go to the same schools, go to the same church, date the same people on the same day, in the same hour, in the same outfit. Something, I don't know, maybe you dated the same person on the same, I don't know. But you know what? Your twin probably isn't here right now. They didn't have access to the information you have, etc. In other words, if you look back, no one on the face of the earth has had the experience you've had. No one is married to the person you're married to and comes from your same background. No one is like you. God has worked into your life an extraordinarily unique string of things, like Henry was talking yesterday. But the 4th level of thinking is the real freedom. And that is, it's okay to be me. It's okay to be the me that God made. And here's the freedom. Here's a little bit of the freedom in this. It's okay to be who I am without being more like my dad or my mother. Because you know what? Hidden in some of our hearts, we think, I'd be okay if I were just more like my smarter brother or my dad, who was the patriarch of the family, or my mother, who was always the saint, or, it's like we think if we were just, we end up all our lives saying, if we just had Ron's energy, or if we just had so-and-so's, it's like we go through life trying to compare ourselves with someone we can't be. And I say, no, it's okay to be who God made you to be. By the way, we'll run out of time if I get on too many rabbit trails here. But something I deal with all the time is men who say, my father never told me he loved me, never told me he was proud of me, and never told me I was a man. Women don't say that at all. They say, my mom won't let me grow up. She treats me like a little girl. You know why your dad has never told you he's a man, you're a man, and why your mom won't let you grow up, that adulthood step for many of you? Your parents are still at level 1 thinking. They're still thinking, you know what? Jimmy is just like me. Sally is just like me. Or they will be when they grow up. He's a chip off the old block. Or he will be when he grows up. But the reality is you're nothing like your dad at all. Your dad wouldn't feel comfortable at a country club and you do. Or your dad wouldn't feel comfortable being the CEO and you are. Or your dad, it's like you and your dad are different. But he doesn't have the eyes to see that everyone is not like him. And you're already grown up, you're just not like him. And you are already grown up, you're just not like your mom. But she still sees that when you grow up, you'll be like her. So why should she treat you like an adult? Because in her mind, you aren't grown up yet because you aren't like her yet. Are there any ahas in here at all for anybody? Number 5, everyone likes a plan, but not everyone likes to set goals. You know, you say, that sounds like a contradiction in terms. I say, no, it's just listen to it carefully. Everyone likes a plan, but not everyone likes to set goals. Matter of fact, I wrote a book called Stop Setting Goals If You'd Rather Solve Problems. Because what I've come to see is that about 15% of most groups this size, even presidents of companies that you'd think, as you sit here, if you're not a goal setter, you may think, everyone in this dang room is a goal setter except me. But I don't really like setting goals. Matter of fact, let me give you the emotion that people usually attach to the I don't like goals. It's I hate setting goals. I hate it. I mean, it's like, it isn't a, see? About 15% of the people in this room are actually goal setters. About 80% are actually problem energized, not goal energized. And what you're really looking at here in terms of how am I different from other people and how do I lead effectively and how do we relate to each other as mates is how do I differ from other people and when do I use that difference and when do I not abuse the difference? And so what you're looking at is partly, am I a goal setter? Am I naturally energized by setting goals? Or am I naturally energized by solving problems? And what I've found, or am I naturally energized by seizing opportunities? What I've found is that about 15% of the people answer typically, I'm a goal setter. I love just setting goals and reaching them. 80% of the people, or so in society, probably less than that here. I would guess that in this room it's probably about 30% goal setters, about 35% goal setters, about 60% problem solvers, and the rest are opportunity oriented. But to a goal setter, when you mention the word problems, there is a draining of energy. To a real goal setter, if I said, Ron, here's the goal, you say, yeah, let me at it. Where's the hill? You know, what wall do you want me through? But if I said, now Ron, we got some problems here, there'd be something in you, it'd be like, oh man, not problems again. Why are you so negative all the time? But you know what? Problem-oriented people aren't negative, they're simply problem-oriented. That isn't the same at all. They're like the defensive unit. For those of you who play football, the problem-oriented person is like the star of the defense, is like a center linebacker that doesn't want the enemy to score against us. And you've been that way since the 4th grade, so you aren't going to change that even if you say, oh, I'm going to become a goal setter. I am. I think I can, I knew I could. No, it won't work that way. You are who you are. And the problem-oriented person is like the center linebacker that no one can get around. You're the kid in the 4th grade that no one could get around on the playground. It's like you weren't the scoring machine, you're the one that no one could get around. You're problem-oriented today. The goal setter is more like the driving fullback that's sort of always looking for another 10 yards, 15 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards, lose 2 yards, but come back and hit, just make you pay. You know, it's like going to make you pay for every 6 yards you keep them from kind of thing. That's the goal setter. We're going to set goals and we're just going to keep driving toward those goals. But the opportunity-oriented person is about 5% of the population, and that's the person who is always looking for a crack in the line to run 97 yards for a touchdown and win the game. In a group like this, there is a disproportionate amount of people who are opportunity-oriented as compared to goal or problem. Let me show you something. For those of you who are married to opportunity-oriented people, first of all, if you're a problem-solving person married to an opportunity-oriented person, it'll drive you crazy. Oh, okay. The goal-oriented person, if you mention the word problems, they go like this. You mention the word opportunities, they say, don't distract me, I'm trying to get to my goal here. With a problem-oriented person, if you mention the word goals, they say, oh, you didn't follow through last year. If you mention the word opportunities, it's like, why look at those opportunities? Man, we got problems here. We got to fix these things. Here, let me show you the opportunity-oriented person, because this is the one that is sort of okay, here's the opportunity-oriented person. Let's set some goals. Now, okay, if you want to. Well, let's solve some problems. Yeah, get a team together and do that. I agree, that's a problem. It's almost like they're disengaged until you look at their heart, and in their heart, they look more like this. Opportunity, where? They, on your toes. And it's like when they see an opportunity, bong, they're gone. Hard to guard the flagstaff. I mean, they're just gone. That's an opportunity-oriented person. But some people, some of my clients who are CEOs who are opportunity-oriented, which turns out to be a fair number of them, every time they go on a trip, they come back with opportunities that make their staff's hair stand on end. Because they were just trying to get on top of the problems they had. Or reach the goals, and they say, oh no, those goals, those were last month's goals. We're going to come over here. Here's a new opportunity. And I'm saying the reality is that to be a leader, you can't assume everyone's like me. You have to assume they're complementary to me. That's why they're on the team. If I didn't have them, I'd have to solve the problems. I'd have to set the goals. I'd have to, So it's like, how do we work together as a team like that? So everyone likes a plan. Everybody likes to know where we're going. But not everyone likes to set goals. Some people will define their plan as the problems we need to solve. By the way, one of the things I discovered the other day was that there are 3 philosophies of planning. The one that's most common is all planning begins at the end, or begin with the end in mind, or some of those kind of phrases. You know what that is? That is a goal setter's logic. To a goal setter, that makes all kinds of sense. It's like that is as clear. You just find out where you want to go, and you start building a plan to get there. That is a goal-oriented person's logic. But you know what? To problem-oriented people, it doesn't make any sense at all. They say, how are we going to get there? Because we got this stuff we have to deal with. You're not a realist. You've got to deal with these problems. So the problem solver's logic is, in planning, is let's deal with this, and then we'll deal with the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing. The problem solver, instead of starting way out there, likes to start here and work their way into the future. Right? Okay. But look at the opportunity-oriented view of planning, which I'll just say it to you, and then you can decide what to do with it. Planning, from an opportunity-oriented person's perspective, planning is building capacity to respond to opportunity. Is that right, or is that right? I think I heard one aha get caught in some water. Like, that was really an aha, folks, right over there. Let me say it again, because those of you who are opportunity-oriented, it does make all kinds of sense. Planning is building capacity to respond to opportunity. And if you see that if you've got 3 people on your staff and an opportunity comes along that takes 30 people, you can't respond. But if, while you're sort of sitting there waiting for that opportunity and looking for the opportunity to come along, if you can get your team mobilized to add staff that is needed, and add budget, and add IT strength, and add this, develop the product, do the R&D, etc., so that when the opportunity comes along, we're ready to go. That's where planning comes in. Interesting? I've been teaching planning for 25 years now, and it was just last summer that I came up with that definition. Because it was for the first time I saw that, you know what, I had seen the goals and problems, which a lot of people still don't see. A lot of people still assume everybody should be goal setters when they grow up. I saw that 5, 6 years ago, but I didn't see that opportunity piece until last summer. When I saw that, I began to see that planning is actually building capacity to respond to opportunity, or eliminating the problems keeping us from opportunity. Now, in terms of the question, the situation you're dealing with, does that understanding help at all? Okay, good. Number 6, Peter Drucker says this: the role of the organization is to maximize the strength of the individual and make their weakness irrelevant. That is a great management philosophy. The role of an organization is to maximize the strength of the individual and make their weakness irrelevant. What we as CEOs often do, I think, is we get preoccupied with weakness. I was reading something in the Harvard Business Review not long ago. It said you can tell whether it had 2 lists. It's sort of like if the person that reports to you is on their way out or up. Because if they're on the way up, you look for all kinds of reasons to explain negative behavior. If they're on the way out, you just criticize it. You know, blah, 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 blah. Just went through this thing. It's like, it's real easy to get caught up in just looking at what they do wrong and just absolutely just crater them. Instead of asking yourself, how do we what is their strength and how do we maximize it? But before we get to your staff, let me suggest to you this. One of the most frustrating parts of leadership, and the reason people sell their companies early and before it's very profitable, and they look back and other people say, why'd you sell it too soon? He said, I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. You know why you weren't enjoying it anymore? Because it had grown to a phase that was beyond your strength area. Your strength may be startup, not maintenance, for example. So a question that is a very profound question for you and for your mate and for each of your adult children and for everyone who reports to you on the staff is, what do you do best? Now, if I ask you, what is your single greatest strength? You know what you'd tell me? You'd tell me an integrity side answer. You'd tell me, I think it's my character. I think it's my honesty. Yes, that's a strength of yours, but I'm not talking about your B side, character side. I'm talking about what do you do best. And one of the most important things you can do in life, from my perspective, in maximizing your leadership, is to identify that thing. But you know what? Most of us, by the time we get to the place we're in this room, we have a lot of things we do better than most people we grew up with. And so when I ask that question of you, your head may be confused a little bit. You may say, I'd have to think about that a little bit. I don't even know what I do best. I do a lot of things, you know, probably above average, but I say, no. What do you do best? Because you know what? That's where you'll have the greatest stewardship responsibility on Judgment Day. God's not going to hold you responsible for things He never gave you, but He will hold you responsible for what He did give you. So, what is your single greatest thing? What do you do best? Now let's go back to Drucker's statement. The role of an organization is to maximize the strength of the individual and make their weakness irrelevant. How do you maximize you as CEO if you don't even know what your own greatest strength is? And are you burning out in the company because you're clear down in here, you're using your strength about 1% of the time, and your weakness in your weak areas, you're trying to lead in your weak areas about 99% of the time. No wonder you're burning out. You know what I've found? I've found that I have never yet in all my consulting career found a person who burned out that was working in their proper phase. There are 5 phases. There's a design phase, which is pure theory. There's a design develop phase, which is where you develop your prototype. There's a develop phase where you take a model and sort of reproduce it around. Then there's a develop stabilize phase where you refine, improve, maximize, and there's a stable phase where you just keep it running smoothly. Those 5 things we describe in a resource we have called the team profile. I have never seen a designer burn out designing, ever. What I've seen is designers burn out maintaining or stabilizing. When you get to the wrong phase is when you want out. It's when you burn out. It's where you just get, this isn't fun anymore. So the question becomes, what phase is the company in, and what phase is my strength in, and how do I get to where I can spend more of my time in my strength area and make my weakness irrelevant? The first thing you have to figure out in your company is how to maximize you. Then, how do I maximize my staff? What are their single greatest strength? How do I maximize them? And then, how do we do that all the way down the system? One of the things you might want to consider is taking your team aside, sitting down. This is a great morale booster. Sit around, just go around a circle and say, ask each person to write down, what do you see as your own single greatest strength? What do you do best? And then what do you see each of your colleagues' single greatest strength? What do they do best? And just write those down. And then go around the circle, and this is with people who've worked together for a while, but go around the circle and like, for example, have, if it were my strength we were talking about, start with the person on my left, go clear around the circle, have everybody say what they see my strengths to be, and then I get to go last to tell it what I see it to be. Don't start with mine, everybody say, well, yeah, I see that too. But you know what? By the time you get done with that meeting, some people are going to say, I never saw it. I mean, it's like, I didn't even realize that person saw I had strength. They've just been complaining at me all the time. Complaining is a Christian word for, you know, there are other words you can use for that. They've been just on me all the time. But by the time you get done, you think, those people see me as having strength. And you've defined strength. It's a good exercise.